Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Behind the Small Business Podcast. My name is Kevin Dandino, and of course, this is always brought to you by Centennial State Insurance Agency. Today, we have a very unique kind of approach to how we're going to do our podcast. We have two different business owners of two different businesses on with me today, but they also have a joint venture that they've been working on. So we'll allow them to kind of share their story of their own personal businesses first, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of what they're doing together and how they're partnering together, and talk a lot about business ownership and things that they're doing to support each other as well as their own businesses. So today I've got Alex from Reunion TKD and Victoria from Victor Kids Life Coaching. Both of you guys, thank you very much for joining me today. How you both doing?
Good, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, doing good.
Perfect. Love to hear it. Well, Alex, you do the short straw, so we're going to go with you first. Let you talk about Reunion TKD, Taekwondo, and we were talking before the show. I've been doing Shotokan karate for a good bit of my life now, and some of the similarities there between Shotokan and Taekwondo. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you and your dojo there. So kind of talk us to through a little bit of like how you got started. Excuse me, how you got started, what got you into it, and kind of take it from there, man.
Sure. So first thing, Shotokan is dojo. In Korean, we say dojang. I've been doing martial arts for about 25 years, since I was 12 years old. And I'm a student of the Choi brothers, who were famous in the 70s, 80s, 90s for traveling all across the country, spreading Taekwondo to the United States during the martial arts craze during that time. I've done it for, like I said, about 25 years. I've been in law enforcement, in the para-law enforcement capacity as a private security officer for Arapahoe County Sheriff, Denver Police, and then Department of Homeland Security. So I've done a great many things where I've been martial arts adjacent. And one of the great things about it, the reason I love doing it and teaching it, is it's good for everyone's body, mind, and spirit. So it's a whole lifestyle approach. Whatever you need or help with or to be taught, we'll meet you there.
That's fantastic, man. And I can attest to that through my own personal, experiences. I mean, any kind of karate, but it's really good when you have a sensei, that's very knowledgeable and wanting to go that extra distance of not just teaching the style, but incorporating all those life lessons into it.
Absolutely. I'm still friends to this day with my master, who is a mentor for me, which we'll get to later, is a really big reason why we're doing what we're doing with Miss Victoria. But we looking to give that to all of our students as well. We want to help them succeed in life in whatever way we can, not just in martial arts.
Okay, that's fantastic. Now, as a business owner, I think being a karate instructor of any kind is maybe a little bit different from being a business or a restaurant owner, or maybe having a food truck, or there's very unique things that come with that. So, in terms of the business side. What are maybe some of the unique challenges that you face, that you've kind of come across, that you'd want other people to know about or learn from your experiences, or anything like that?
Sure. So I think post-COVID is a struggle for really any business owner. People going through a period of financial hardship and an unknown future as to what the economy is going to look like. Things like gym memberships, martial arts tend to be first on the chopping block in people's budgets. Another roadblock is a lot of times people join martial arts because it's very fun, and then they get about halfway towards their black belt and they realize, oh, this is a lot. There's a lot of discipline, a lot of commitment, and we require you to rise above and be different from everyone else. So it's not for everyone, but we welcome everyone. And I think those are some of the bigger challenges that we're faced, is struggling. People don't understand the type of benefit that they can get from programs like this. Mm-hmm. And so it's really important to show the value to people, because it changes your life. And everyone, as Victoria often says, everyone will happily spend $300-400 a month on junk food and movies and all these things. But half of that to improve your life dramatically is, for some reason, something that they don't see until they experience it.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's fair. I think when you're talking about retention, customer retention, it's always a big thing, and trying to keep people coming in the doors. But when you're faced with something that people get bored, maybe aren't seeing the instant gratification that we see throughout today's society. I'm sure, Victoria, that's
Yeah.
going to kind of tie into your talk a little bit as well. But the whole society is based off of give me my reward now, especially like, look, I've showed up for a couple months. Where's my black belt? Like that's not how this works here. Maybe some places, but not here.
Yeah,
And I
no,
highly respect that.
Yeah, and I think that's like you hit it on the nail. That's a very damaging thing that we're teaching to our youth, because when they become adults, they get a mean slap in the face that life doesn't work like that. Your boss doesn't promote you for showing up for 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of a surprise there in the adult world, right?
Yeah.
Well, then, Victoria, over to you. Appreciate your patience and everything, but you're talking about life coaching and trying to help people overcome some of their struggles and stay motivated to reach their goals. And I think a lot of people can really benefit from that type of service. So, kind of same questions over to you. What got you into wanting to be a life coach, and how did you start your business, and where did you go from there?
So I was actually a school teacher before I moved to the US. I've been teaching in classrooms, kind of early childhood education, all the way up to 8th grade for close to 15 years, on and off. I also have 5 kids of my own. I've got three step kids and 2 bio kids and a big blended family.
Awesome.
So, kind of seeing the need in real life in my own family, but also starting to see it out in the world as well. And I think it happened around COVID. It was all the schools had shut down. Kids are all kind of, studying from home, and seeing just report after report of kids really struggling, not just with the friendships, but with like isolation and mental health. And, lots of kids reporting like suicide ideation and just wanting to end things completely. And I'm like, wow, it's never happened like this before. Before it was always like, I'm having some problems at school, some bullying, but never to this level. And I was planning to I'm going to be working with kids anyway in schools. Hang on, if we're not going back to school, how else can I support kids? And then I'd already been working with some adult clients in coaching. And I was like, just a lot of the work that I was doing myself, I was like, why do we have to wait for kids to get to be their 20s and 30s and then help them? Why not teach them these skills when they're kids and hopefully prevent a lot of these things from happening? So, yes, that's where I got my idea to let's become a kids life coach. And I went and looked online. I'm like, oh, this isn't really a thing. There's tons of adult life coaching, tons of parent life coaching, kids life coaching. There's lots of kids therapists and counselors, school counselors. Kids life coaching isn't really a thing. And so you're talking about the different challenges. And I think it's educating parents that there are other avenues besides just taking your kids to therapy or helping them at school with the school counselor. There are more proactive ways of going about this. We don't have to wait until your child is injuring themselves or getting into fights at school. It can be done proactively by teaching them these skills. And so that's really what I do.
And that's a lot of really good points there. I mean, I can attest to I studied psychology in college, got my master's in counseling, and a big part of it was the education behind learning and behavior, and understanding how kids, when they're younger, are much more malleable and able to take in information, whether they're learning stuff through taekwondo or another kind of karate or working with a life coach, right? Those life lessons are much more easier to build up in a child when they're younger versus when we are 20, 30 years old, set in our ways.
Yes.
So there's a lot of psychology behind this too. And it's kind of interesting to me to hear that there really wasn't anyone else doing child specific life coaching, because to me that just seems like a no-brainer, right? So it's really awesome that you were like, hey, why is no one doing this? I'm going to step up and do this. So mad props to you for doing that. What kind of again challenges or things have you gone through when it comes to running the business, standing up to business, keeping it going, that are maybe tied to things that Alex has already talked about or specific to being a life coach?
Yeah, very similar in that it is, and I think this kind of across every industry, people don't come to you proactively. They come to you when you're in pain, right? When there is a problem. And that's usually like, it's great, I can help you, but like a doctor, why didn't you come before? Why are you waiting now until now, right? And so same thing is that parents don't seem to realize that if they looked at their basics, like kids' diet, exercise, making sure they're getting enough sleep, all these basic building blocks that we know about, but have kind of fallen off the radar in many of the things that we teach our kids. And if we start putting more of a focus back on that, then we could just eliminate so many of these problems we're seeing now. And so I think the biggest challenge I'm seeing is maybe a lack of education in that area of the proactiveness of we can prevent a lot of these things if we are proactive because like Mr. Alex says, you want the easy way out. We want the fast food. You want the here, give your kid a phone because they're, fussing at the restaurant, all these quick fixes. And that's really led to students and kids just kind of like falling apart at the seams and having all these problems. And so, yeah, as the world kind of gets more and more convenient, I think we've lost track of all these basic building blocks. Like you said, teaching them discipline, teaching them, hey, you don't get your paycheck before you do the work, all of these basic knowledge and skills. So yeah, just kind of encouraging parents that, hey, let's get back to the basics rather than, putting them in all these other programs that are going to supposedly help them. Let's get back to diet, exercise, making sure they're getting enough sleep at night, making sure they're getting enough time with their parents, which, a lot of kids aren't nowadays because they're busy doing other stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially if you have a family that has 3, 4, 5 kids. I mean, I don't have any right now, but I can imagine that having even more than one has got to make it difficult to spread time evenly and make sure you're spending that good quality time with them versus running around to the different events that I remember my parents doing, between karate or hockey for my brother, dance for my sister,
Yes.
right? And trying to find that good family time. So
Mhm.
it sounds just before we even get into the collaboration effort you guys have, there's so many similarities between what you two do in your jobs and how you approach your profession that it just seems natural. So we're just going to move right on into that because I'm excited to hear about what you guys are doing. So I'm not sure who wants to take it first in terms of explaining what it is you do. Alex, I'll let you take it away. But yeah, this is good.
Kind of to rewind for a second, Victoria's absolutely right. All those things were leading to seeing children with, number one, lack of discipline, number two, a lack of mental and emotional fortitude, I would say. In other words, when a problem comes up, they don't have the skills to deal with it, everything collapses right there. And so it's really important to instill body, mind, and spirit. Their character development is just as important as their martial arts skills. And parents, I cannot stress enough, no matter what sport they're in or what they're doing, examine their coaches thoroughly because the coach is as important sometimes as the parent in the developmental role. And you may sign them up for even martial arts, think, oh, it's just a fun activity, keep them busy, physically active. You need to examine where you're sending them and who is doing the teaching. Because I've seen excellent football coaches and I've seen ones that don't care how many other players get injured. So
As long as
really,
they win, right? As long
right.
as they win.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
We
not
want to
right.
set them up with success for life, not one game. So it's very important. So Miss Victoria reached out to me. Her son is actually a former student of mine, very highly skilled, and he's going to begin his training again. And she sat me down with this program idea as a collaboration where we see a lot of young men who either are lacking proper role male model in their life or some other type of emotional struggle. They're just not getting the kind of support that they need in the mind and spirit character development realm. And so we already do some of that anyways. In Taekwondo, it's very important. We focus just as heavily on that as we do on training. And I know what Miss Victoria does also. And so I thought it was a perfect match where they can come and train really hard together. And then we use the second half as the model for equipping them with these sort of tools to deal with all this. Post-COVID life is different, like she said before. And so oftentimes, especially in young men, what we see too is traditionally anything along the lines of therapy or opening up is considered some sort of weakness.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the number one thing we want to combat is that just because you're a man doesn't mean that you can't voice your opinion, voice what you're feeling, acknowledge it, and address it properly. Okay. That doesn't mean have emotional breakdown necessarily and tears all the time, right? But it does mean that you need to be a good balanced person to be a successful person in the world.
Yeah. Military experience here, I can attest firsthand that is a very strong culture push in the military, is try to get away from that mentality of being afraid of saying something.
Right.
People afraid they're going to lose security clearances or flying status or
Sure.
whatever kind of other things they have going on because they don't want to speak up and say I need help.
Right. Let me ask you this, Mr. Kevin, because it's very true. All of those men who are scared to open up, or let's say, for example, scared to cry, in your own personal experience, do they cry out in other ways?
Oh yeah. And sometimes they're subtle, right? You always talk about looking for those warning signs, right? Sometimes it's something where you see people shut down and become reclusive, not wanting to be around other people. So you may not see that in terms of big overt actions, right? You really need to look and say, hey, this person's acting differently than they used to, right? They're maybe more easily agitated,
Right.
quick
Any
to irritation,
outbursts?
right? Things of that nature where you're like, where did that come from? And
Mhm.
the other side to this, and interested to hear if how you kind of maybe approaching this is, yeah, there's the taboo for that individual to speak up and want to say I need help, but then it's also kind of taboo for other people to go to that person and say I'm noticing things in your
Yes,
behavior.
for sure.
Are you okay? Because you don't want to out the person, you don't want to make them feel
Sure.
worse. You'll see people being afraid of wanting to put them on the spot, right? And it's uncomfortable and they don't want to make things worse, so they kind of just ignore it and hope that brush it under the rug, hopefully everything will be okay. So yeah, that's a great question because it's a very real thing that you have to be very mindful of when you're looking at the people in your life.
So it's an emotional honesty that we're talking
Yeah,
about.
very much.
And honesty in general is a huge portion of what I teach these children, both emotionally or otherwise, because
Sure.
nobody can help you unless you ask. And I'll be the first to say that this martial arts school would not exist if I was trying to do it alone.
Mm.
It's all
Yeah.
about the team and the people you have surrounding you. So that's
Mhm.
awesome. So tell me more about what is this, collaboration really involved in terms of like what specific things you're doing? Are there programs? Are there lessons? Is it,
Mm.
you sign up for karate and you have an additional, if you want to do this option, we'll pair you with Victoria and what she's doing. Like, how does that work, logistically?
So first, the Reunion TKD is Taekwondo school.
Okay.
So we're not karate, but Miss Victoria, if you
Keep
want to
saying
take
it.
that one.
Yeah. So I'm going to brag a little bit on Mr. Alex because, like I said, my son worked with him when he was probably about 9 to 10 years old, probably about a year and a half. And, he was kind of just going into middle school or starting middle school around that time. And I just noticed that, he didn't really have many friends in the area. So by going to Mr. Alex's classes, he was like making a community of friends and they're all working on the same thing together. And so there was that, form of community there.
Yeah.
He was really gaining a lot of confidence, coming back and, Mom, I broke a board, or Mom, I did this kick, or I got my new belt, right? And so I saw his confidence growing with that.
Yeah.
But along with that came this, like you said, this mentorship that he was, I'm his mom and we talk about emotional things all the time because that's what I do for my work. But there was also a kind of, he was missing that, not like dad is one thing, mom is one thing. When they hear it outside the home, and especially as they get to be tweens and teens, they block us out, right? Don't want to hear what mom and dad have to say. And it takes
Nope.
somebody else to say exactly the same thing. And all of a sudden, boom, light bulb went off, right? And so
Yeah.
I was seeing that with my son and Mr. Alex. Like he'd come back to me going, I had this really great talk with Mr. Alex and I learned these things. And I'm like, I told you that last week, right? But it didn't land for him then. And so that is one of the things I'm like, okay, I really see how he's growing just because he's getting this advice from somebody else.
Yeah.
And then I think Harry was probably, this was after we stopped going to your classes. Harry was doing other sports and he was in middle school. And then he started struggling with like bullying and things like that. And he was really going through it. Like he was like, Mom, I don't want to go to school anymore. And so I was like, who can I reach out to? Mr. Alex. I know he always had a good effect on him. So we brought him to your office and he talked with him for like an hour. And then after that, it was just like, oh, okay, mom, I know how to handle this. And so again, just that little bit of outside mentorship just helped him. And now, fast forward, my son is turning 13 in a couple weeks. And same thing, he actually asked me, he said, Mom, I really need some like male mentorship. I need this like male
Yeah.
role models in my life. Um, and immediately I was like, who do I know that has the same values as me? Mr. Alex. And it always came back to that same thing. It's not just about strength and confidence. It's about this kind of almost humility. And that is what I'm noticing is lacking a lot in modern masculinity. It's all about ego and arrogance,
Yeah.
and you see who they're following online, right? And I think that's what this show Adolescence that just came out on Netflix that everybody's
Yeah.
talking about, right?
Mhm.
It's about this ultra powerful egotistical masculinity, and it's moving away from, actually, if you look at in the past what men did, they served their tribe, they helped
Yeah.
others. It's all about that, and we're moving
Exactly.
away from that.
It's
So
all
that's,
about service. All
yeah,
about service. Yes, ma'am. And yeah, I appreciate you saying all of that. That it warms my heart to hear. That's exactly what we're trying to do. So I set aside time for Harry anytime or any of our students as long as they need.
Yeah. And that's great to hear. When you hear people going that extra mile, right?
Mhm.
And willing to take the time to do things that aren't in the normal job description,
Yeah.
Have
you may
either
feel like, yeah, it is obviously, but a lot of people will be like, I'm a karate teacher, I'm here to teach karate, make money, and that's my job.
It's
After hours stuff,
exactly.
I'm hands off.
Yes.
You're like, that's not, I mean, I guess, yeah, you're right, but are you really doing everything you can with the position that you hold? And
Yeah.
so to
be
hear that, Alex,
careful.
is great.
Be careful who you coach your kids.
Yep.
Mr. Kevin, Miss
Yes.
Victoria,
Yes.
either of you watch Game of Thrones?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So that reminds me of a great scene. She brings up humility. And Joffrey, I'm the king. And then his grandfather says, what? The king doesn't have to announce that he's the king,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So anytime you see someone out there who's loud and look what I can do and this and that person is struggling inside. They're not
Amen.
comfortable with
Yeah.
who they are.
Yeah. That's
Exactly.
another huge psychology thing I could, go on a long rant rant about. I won't,
Yeah.
because this isn't the Kevin show here. But you're
But they
right.
have,
I mean, you see those people that you're just like, okay, you're puffing out, right? You're making yourself look big because inside it's not real.
Yes.
so
You're
the goal is
struggling.
to repair that
Yes.
because
Yeah.
society has it exactly backwards, which
Hmm.
is those with real strength, emotional, physical, otherwise, mental strength, and spiritual stability. They're very humble and quiet. Usually, they don't
Mhm.
need to speak loud, and they'll show you through their actions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Definitely.
that's, I think, what we were trying to create with our program, which is we called it, Mr. Alex came up with the name, and I was like, I love it, the Lionshare. So it's about,
Perfect.
the lion, the alpha male, but yet they're coming in, they're serving other people. They're making sure it's not all about them. It's not like you said, it's not my show. It's, hey, I'm coming in, I'm here to serve. And teaching boys that that doesn't equate to weakness, because again, there's this thing of, oh,
Yeah.
if I'm serving, it means I'm inferior to other people. It's not. It's a sign of strength. And so just helping boys and kind of young men, I think our age range is from 12 to 17, so right in that tween teen age where they're getting all this negative messaging about you need to be alpha
Social
male, top of the
media.
line, the loudest, right? And it's like,
Yep.
no, actually there is a way you can show your strength without it being super overt and super, like, yeah, what they're seeing in every day on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And getting all that mixed messaging. I can't imagine being a kid in today's world, to be honest with you. It seems too much even for me. As an adult, I have to think about that stuff as well. Running either this podcast or my other podcast. Staying away from the comment section because
Oh,
yeah, people can get mean.
mean.
You're like, where is this coming
Yeah,
from? But you think younger minds that are just soak that in a little more and take it personally and don't understand how to differentiate real life versus what's happening online. That stuff has a major impact on their development and how they feel about themselves and their mental abilities to overcome challenges. So
Yeah.
this Lionshare program is fantastic. How long has it been going on? Just curious.
we're just piloting it now. This is like a
Perfect.
brainstorm of let's get this together and see who's interested. Yeah.
Okay.
You are watching it live. So our
Perfect.
first launch date is May 3rd.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a website or something people can go to sign up, or how's that going to work?
So they can get in touch with either myself or Miss Victoria on our website, ReunionTKD.com. Or we're on Google. You can call me up, search up Reunion TKD and give a call about it, and we'll be happy to get people squared away in the program.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Ms. Victoria, your information?
My information is, my email is at the bottom here. So it's hello@victorkidslifecoaching.com. Yeah. Or you can find me on Facebook as well. I do a lot of outreach on there and share like other programs that I run. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I mean, I'll tell you guys this right now. Since this is just starting in 6 months or a year or whatever, I'm going to want to have both of you on to hear about how this is going and some of the lessons that, you've both learned or experiences you've had, because this is something that I would say I'd be pretty passionate about too, wanting to support a cause like this. So now, is there any ideas that you guys have in terms of ways that other business owners could partner with you to support you? Is there anything you guys are thinking about in terms of those lines?
Absolutely. If at this stage we're in the marketing stage and getting people interested in the program, and so they know what's going on and how they can sign up and everything like that. So if you guys are watching and you feel like you have someone in your family or friend circle that you know that could benefit, absolutely tell them about it.
Yeah.
As far as other businesses coming forward to help if they want to, I think it's a really great program. And so that might look like some form of partnership or sponsorship. They could reach out and talk about that, as in a back and forth discount program between the two businesses, or maybe even a sponsorship where we have an advertisement for them. Yeah, I'm open to any of that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And we're also looking for other mentors to come in. And again, a lot of what we want to do is storytelling and sharing our own experiences, because that's where, traditionally in the past, kids of this age, they really do, they learn through actions, not just through words, right? They tune out all the words. So, Mr. Alex is a powerful story. I have a lot of, life experience that I want to share with the kids, and letting them know that, hey, we've all been through stuff like this. You're not alone, because that's one of the biggest messages that kids have that I work with, of nobody understands what I'm going through. And it's true. It's different than what we may experience as kids and teens ourselves. But there is this commonality. We all went through something very similar. And the more people they see come in and share, like, hey, I went through this and this is how I've
I'm
overcome.
not alone.
Right. I'm not alone. That's
Yeah.
the biggest message. So yeah.
And that's just, that mentality as a teenager, you feel that of like, this is happening only to me and
Yes.
nobody else understands. And I mean, I will say I was the perfect kid. I listened to everything my parents said. I never, shut them out. Yeah, that's a lie.
Honesty, Mr. Kevin, honesty.
Yeah, my parents will see this and call me out like, yeah, that's not even close to the truth. But I think, I was very similar to listening to my sensei, and the things he would say, and he was just such a big figure in my life, because I had that amount of respect for him, and listening to him, hearing that he had gone through similar things, like he was a kid at one point, right? He's been through these lessons, and he's talked to so many other people along the path there that he knows how to relate, right? So finding somebody for your kid or whoever that can benefit from that, and it's so powerful to have that, kind of just person in your corner that you can always rely on. It's going to point you in the right direction, and if anything, just hear you out, because a lot of people, they don't even have somebody that they can just sit down and talk to without paying for a therapist, right?
Right. Yes.
So it's hard to find those connections. So I would say a big thing, if anybody out there doesn't want to be a mentor, or you have mentorship experience, you want to talk to these guys, see if you'd be a good fit for them and what they're doing, I would strongly suggest that to anyone, because that goes so far. And one of the things that we've talked about throughout these podcast episodes is ways to support the community and support not just yourself, but the businesses around you. But how do you support people that are directly in your community, other than maybe just donating to some 5K or donating to some charity. Getting active and listening to, ways that you can be more a part of people's lives. So this is a great idea that you guys are doing, and I'm fully supportive. Not that you needed my approval, but you have it.
Thank you, sir.
That was good. Yeah, social proof.
One thing
Yeah.
I want to touch on from before, and I think this is part of what makes the program really special. As a martial artist, and I've participated in other sports, I can tell you firmly that martial arts is different from having your kids in say, a school sport, football, soccer, basketball, hockey, in many ways. And if you are able to find a quality instructor at a good school that's not, as you said before, just in it for the money, okay, then it's beneficial so much more in many different ways than your traditional sports. And I think a lot of I'm seeing in my own community, parents finding that out as their kids get older into the teenage years. They may take a break from Taekwondo and trying out other sports, and then
Sure.
they come back, they're saying, Mr. Alex is not the same. We
Yes.
need that body, mind, spirit. We need to have a coach that's there for them as a person, as an individual, not just as a team member to help them win.
Very different
So
mindset.
important.
And so it pairs perfectly with our goals and what Miss Victoria and I are trying to accomplish within our community, which is to uplift it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a powerful message. I think I could just imagine so many, teenagers in today's world benefiting from that kind of service. And especially if it's rare, like it's sounding like it's rare. It's rare enough to find a good mentor, but to couple that with, life coaching that's focused on children and development and teenagers and everything. That's a really unique idea that I think could really take off. And yeah, I just say, keep it up. Love to hear this story, and I definitely want to hear how it develops over time. So, with that being said, any other topics you all want to cover? Anything that we might have missed, or you feel is important to the conversation that you want to include?
I think we're really hoping that parents see the value of this program, and like Mr. Alex said, there aren't programs out there. There may be the sports side, there may be the therapy side, but it's rare that it's combined. And we also want to get parents in on this as well, right? Because we're talking about how it, leads from kids and then they grow up and then they become parents themselves. And I know a lot of parents are struggling with these same issues, right? Their identity and their sense of worth and all these things. So it's not, we start with the kids, but we're open to parents and working with parents as well.
Okay.
Quickly before we go, let us give you a little bit of the structure outline to kind of answer one of the questions you had in the beginning. So
Sure.
this is a completely separate program from martial arts training with me and from coaching with Victoria. It's going to be structured as a once a week program, a 90-minute class, and our first pilot program is only going to be 4 weeks long. So we're looking at to see how well it's received, and if people have interest, they're showing up, and it gives them strong benefit. Right, that's number one goal, is that they have a strong benefit from this program.
Yeah, 4 weeks doesn't sound like, maybe to some people it sounds like a lot in today's world, but that's really not.
No,
and
it's 4 movies.
To be able to break that. Yeah, exactly. It's 4 movies if you think about it over the course of a month. Like, that's nothing. And to sit down, and I'm imagining, you get other people in there. There's a sense of community just amongst that group. People can make friends, and again, just find other sources of support in their lives. Versus maybe if you go to therapy, it's just you and the therapist, right? So,
also,
very unique thing there.
I want to say that it's important that these people considering this program understand that your support and training does not end outside of that 90 minutes. Okay, so if you're looking for additional mentorship, additional training in Taekwondo, we're here for you. You talk to us about that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Again, it goes back to, like, you could be just, I'm here for 90 minutes once a week, and that's it, right? But that's not your guys' personality at all. That's not your approach to how you run your businesses at all. So it's good to hear that further, if they need or want additional, sit down time or support or assistance, that they can get that from this program as well. So that's awesome. Okay. Well, hey, seriously, both, thank you all for joining today. For all our listeners out there, Want to remind you that, please like, subscribe, share. We're on Facebook, YouTube. We're on all the podcast platforms. Wherever you listen to your podcast, you can find us there as well. And if you, of course, want to be on the podcast, if you're a business owner, or if you know of a business owner that would want to be on this podcast, this is an open invitation to all kind of business owners. If you have a story and you just want to share the story behind your business and everything, you're more than welcome to. We'd love to have you on the show. But Alex and Victoria, again, thank you very much for being on today and sharing your story. I'm really excited to kind of hear this progresses as time goes by. So great stuff, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Well, this is another edition of Behind the Small Business. Again, my name is Kevin Dandino, and this is brought to you by Centennial State Insurance Agency. Reach out to us if you're looking for a quote for home, auto, or any kind of other things that you're looking for. That being said, everyone, you take care, and we will see you next time on Behind the Small Business. Take care.
Show.